Hi, everyone, and welcome to another very special episode of Let's Pod This. As I said in the last episode, this one is the second special episode this week, and these are some interviews that we did with several high school students immediately following the From Now On high school student-led debate. What I forgot to say last episode is that, to our knowledge, this is the first and only debate in the entire United States that has been entirely created, led, and organized by high school students for a governor's race. So the students did everything. They wrote the questions, they contacted the candidates, they decided who was going to be on stage, who was going to do everything. They advertised it. They did it with some consultation from House Rep Jason Dunnington and Senator Adam Pugh, as well as some of their teachers. But it was just them. It was really just the students. And that alone is pretty awesome. So, again, I will apologize. Scott and I got a new gadget for the podcast this week, and it will allow us to do more mobile podcast recordings like this out in the field. However, this was our first chance to use it, and we didn't have all of our ducks in a row. So forgive the audio quality. It's not our finest work. Hopefully you can tolerate it and get through it. This episode's about 25 minutes long, and it ends with an interview with Jason Dunnington and Senator Greg McCortney. Thanks to everyone who's involved, and we'll be back next week with a regular podcast episode. Enjoy. Well, first of all, tell me your name and school again.
Okay. My name is Elisha Siddiqui, and I'm a senior at Edmond North High School.
My name is Max Brenniger, and I am also a senior at Edmond North High School.
All right. Go Wolves.
Go Huskies.
Right? Is this your first thing that's ever been, politically involved?
Actually, it isn't. So I'm an active member of Speech and Debate, and this summer I attended Girls Nation, which is a program sponsored by the American Legion Auxiliary, where we get to travel to D.C. and speak to officials in our government. So I actually had the opportunity this summer to meet with Senator Inhofe and our vice president. So it's not my first run with government.
Right. No, you're uber involved.
I hope.
Compared to most people.
I hope
just
so.
Students, most people.
I hope
That's
so.
Exciting. What from this debate stood out to you most?
I think it was really enlightening to see two members who are looking to see our vote later in November come out and speak about their beliefs to high schoolers. For me, it was a truly enlightening experience to hear about members of our government speaking on issues that are imperative to our state's success. So being able to see the manifestation of these people that I've been seeing in social media was truly a moment that stood out for me.
That's great.
Something as high school students we're often overlooked and seen as too young to participate in politics. And with this first ever student-run gubernatorial debate, I think we were really heard and really listened to. And I feel that it's extremely important as a young person getting involved in politics early and figuring out who you may want to support once you finally turn 18.
Would either of you care to say if you felt like one person won the debate or not?
I think both candidates did a really good job. It was really exciting to see both candidates coming out and supporting high schoolers. So I wouldn't per se say that one candidate won the debate, but I think they both did a really good job representing their beliefs.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what Elisha said. I don't think you could really say that anybody, quote, won, but like she said, it was great to hear what they really thought and how they expressed themselves on their beliefs and what they wanted to share with us.
Yes.
I agree. It was an even match, I think, and a great experience. Thank you guys both so much. Enjoy the rest of the reception.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're here with Emily Miller, who is a student at a local high school. Can I say where you go to high school? She goes to Class and School of Advanced Studies in Oklahoma City, a arts and magnet school. Hi, Emily.
Hello.
So we actually met during the teacher walkout,
Yes.
and you found us tonight as well. How did you find the debate?
I found it very encouraging that, the student involvement and seeing everyone here in this, first time in the nation student-led debate. I was a little bit pleasantly surprised by the civility of the two candidates, because I think a lot of the time in the media and just everything that we see and we watch, politics are very polarized, and I think that becomes, snarky comments on social media or fights between family members or yelling during the last presidential debate. And I think I was very happy to see the candidates speaking politely of each other and staying within their respective times, and it was very nice to see that whichever candidate does get elected, that they do have that professionalism and that civility.
Awesome. So was there a particular answer that stood out? Were there any answers that you were disappointed in? Any answers that you were particularly pleased with? What was your kind of takeaway?
I think with both candidates, unfortunately, I was slightly disappointed in the kind of lack of big picture plan. So both candidates mentioned things that needed to be fixed, that were issues, but it sort of stopped there. They would say, "Oh, I'm going to fix this issue," but I would have liked to see more about how they were going to fix that issue. The specific funding, like the ball and dice tax that we had with the education issues, tax issues in general, just funding. I think that kind of both of them are running on very large promises, and I would really like to see kind of the details and the nitty-gritty of how they will run the government if they get elected.
Sure, you and me both. I mean, I think you mentioned to me that you listen to the show, which thank you for that.
I do.
I mean, I'm with you, man. The more specifics, the better. I love to get into the weeds of policy and funding and how all that stuff works. And I agree with you that it can be frustrating to talk to candidates and feel like they say, "Oh, we're going to do all these great things," but then not tell you how. So I know you are 17, is that
Yes.
right? Okay. And you are unfortunately not going to be able to vote in this
I'm
particular
not,
election, which you mentioned you're very sad about. If you were going to be able to vote in this election, if you could cast your ballot, would this debate have changed your mind?
Probably not. I think and I'm not sure how much of that is my personal beliefs versus their actual direct answers tonight, but I think I would probably stick with the same candidate that I'd been leaning towards, but I was also pleasantly surprised by some of the answers of the opposing candidate.
Sure. Okay. And then even though you can't vote, you're already pretty involved. Are you going to stay involved between now and the election day?
Absolutely.
What are you going to try and do to let your voice be heard even though you can't cast a ballot?
Well, I have already helped a couple representatives in their campaigns, and I have had some connection with one of the campaigns for governor, but I would really just like to continue being able to explain to people my age why this is important, because I think a lot of the time, unfortunately, young people and young adults, we're told that politics are kind of that's the adults' game. Like, you just need to worry about graduating and getting a job. But what a lot of people don't realize is when we graduate and get a job, these are the people that are making the requirements and making the laws that are going to affect the jobs that we get. And so I think for far too long, young people have been told that we cannot make a difference because we are young. And I just want everyone my age and older to know that you can make a difference regardless of if you're 18 or 80, and that it's very important that you do.
Awesome. Well, Emily, thank you so much for being as involved as you are. Thank you for coming tonight, and thank you for listening to the podcast. All right?
Awesome.
So now I'm joined by 3 students, I assume. Would you guys tell me your name and what school you go to?
I'm Cole Apel, and I go to a community Christian school.
Okay, where's that?
Norman.
Norman, excellent.
Yes. I'm Abigail Agog. I go to Deer Creek High School, and that is in Edmond.
That's right.
I'm Leila Forge, and I also go to Deer Creek.
Excellent. Well, welcome all of you. Thanks for being here. Sorry, this is a new device, and I'm not entirely convinced that it's working correctly.
Kind of looks
I'm
like a
using it
spaceship.
correctly. Yeah, we'll see. Also, when we podcast, we usually wear headphones so I can monitor what's going on and just winging it here. So thanks for being here. What did you guys think of the debate?
I thought it was really interesting, especially because up until this point, the only things that I had seen from either candidate were websites and Twitter and stuff. I did see Edmondson at the teacher walkout, but beyond that, I hadn't really seen them speak on any state issues or hear any of their plans, hear them talk about it. So I thought it was really interesting, and I thought it went pretty well.
Great.
I was also impressed with the organization of it all, especially for the fact that it was run by students.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I thought it was really good since I would be voting in this upcoming election, and got to learn a lot more about the two candidates than I thought I would regularly have heard.
Right. Cole, are you 18 then?
Yes, sir.
Okay, will this be your first election to vote in?
Yes, sir.
Did you get to vote in any of the primaries this year?
I did not.
Ooh, so this is like your first one.
Yes.
How exciting. Are you nervous at all?
Kind of, not really.
Yeah. Are you going to go before school or after school? Wait, do you guys even have school that day? Because some schools are canceled.
Yeah, we have school.
I think we might have school too.
Okay. You should check that out. There's a surprising number of districts have canceled to allow teachers to vote. And I was like, what about the students? They can vote too. So, well, kudos to you. You'll have to shoot us an email and let us know your experience.
Alrighty.
That would be tremendous. At the primary election, we got to take one of our friends to vote for the first time who had never voted. He also had just torn his ACL, so he couldn't walk. So we literally had to take him to the poll, drop him off at the door. And but it was a really cool experience to we did a little GoPro in the car and videoed the thing. So it was,
That's so fun.
It was fun. Was there anything that you were particularly surprised about or disappointed in from the debate?
I was disappointed, if I'm being honest, in their facial expressions. I thought they would be a lot more expressive while they were talking and while the other one were talking, but they were not. I don't know, something new to me.
Yeah, so you were disappointed they were so flat. And
Right,
graphic.
yeah.
Interesting. That's very perceptive. Well done.
I also felt like some of the questions were avoided. I don't remember what it was specifically, but I know Edmondson avoided one of them. And it was a great speech, but then when you look at the content, it didn't really answer the question.
Right.
So
Do you think that might have been because they got the questions in advance and had time to prepare?
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because the audience didn't just throw out the questions,
Right.
which is kind of what I was expecting tonight. I didn't realize that the questions were already going to be prepared.
Right.
And
Yeah. That is tough. I didn't either. I think sometimes a town hall thing where you get to just ask on the fly.
like
It's
a
little
public
more
forum,
exciting.
yeah.
Yeah, that was my thing. Was I thought they would get the questions just now. No, I didn't know they were gonna have time to prepare for those.
Right. Yeah.
To give those answers.
In some ways, maybe we got to see the best example of them to one another. They were both prepared and putting their best foot forward, presumably. I agree with whoever said that they dodged some questions. I was live tweeting, and I was some things I would start Stitt says, Edmondson says, and then I deleted and said, neither one answered the question. Here's what they said anyway, because it was generally what I found was around specifics. If the question said, what are you going to do to fix education or something? They were here's all the things that need to be fixed.
Well, the one that stood out to me, it was asking about, it was certifying teachers. I don't remember what it was specifically.
Emergency certification.
Yes, emergency certification and how we're going to avoid that in the future.
Right.
So that's one I really recognized it on.
Yeah, I agree that happens a lot. And I think it was mostly because they were given the questions beforehand, so they had time to prepare a miniature speech about it. So it was more like they were giving 20 miniature campaign speeches instead of giving their plans, which was kind of frustrating. But I think that they would probably try to avoid them anyways, even if they were given on the spot. So.
Sure. And hey, let's be fair. This was the first debate totally organized by high school students from start to finish in the country that we know of. I don't care if they got the questions in advance. That makes for a more easy to flow event. So
Yeah, go Oklahoma, right?
right? Yeah, go figure.
We're first at something.
Right, that's right. Take that, California. Super. Well, what are you guys going to do after this? Go back to school and, tomorrow's Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about this with your friends. What are you going to tell them?
Well, I think it would depend on the friend. If the friend follows politics closely, they would most likely ask me specific questions about somebody who said something about education or something like that. But if it was more somebody who doesn't follow politics, I think I would probably just give them a brief overview of everything that happened. These were Stitt's main points, these were Edmondson's main points. And in terms of a winner, I don't know about that. I'm still on the fence. I'll have to sleep on that one.
Fair.
Yeah, I didn't see a whole lot of difference. So if they asked really anything, I mean, they kind of gave the same answers. I think that was because they kind of had time to plan.
Yeah.
And so kind of have to decide who won, like Abby had said.
Yeah. And this maybe is of particular resonance for you because you're going to be voting. Are either one of you voting this year? No.
I'm
No.
16.
You're
I
16,
wish,
so
yeah.
definitely not. That's illegal. Don't do that. Well, great. So, Cole, like, now you've got some information you have to make a decision about. And as you said, you've got to sit on it for a little bit.
How old did you say you guys are?
I'm 16.
I'm 17.
I'm 18.
I think it is so awesome that you guys can't even vote yet and you're still here. That
Aw,
is like
thank you.
baller.
It's true, because I know a bunch of grown adults that are not, well, they couldn't come, but don't come to things like this. Although
Yeah.
some folks are watching online on our Facebook Live feed. Give us some nasty comments. Not us, just, politics.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Well, hey, thanks, guys, for being here. Thanks
Yeah.
for being on the show, and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're joined by Representative Jason Dunnington and Senator Greg McCortney. Senator McCortney, you came up from Ada, correct? And you had some students with you?
We had students from a couple different schools down in District 13 who drove well over an hour to be here tonight.
That's amazing. I saw you when I walked in, and I had no idea. I assumed, as people who live here in the city, we tend to stick with things here in the city. Even here on South Side, it's a long drive for a lot of these folks. So kudos to you and the students.
Absolutely, and I'll give some kudos outside of my district, but I saw like 10 kids from Medill, which is about 2.5 hours away from here.
Yeah.
They're going to have a late night.
Yeah, no.
I think that was one of the more impressive things about the kids that were here. I mean, I had some kids from House District 88 here, Harding Fine Arts.
Yeah.
And you would think, okay, Oklahoma City, this is an easy thing to go to, especially kids that are engaged in politics. But as Senator McCortney said, there were kids that drove 2.5 hours to get here. There were kids from Weatherford, there were kids from Woodward, there were kids from Owasso, Tulsa area, and they came here just for this tonight.
Yeah.
It meant a lot to them, and it was really cool that both of the candidates prioritized tonight's event in order to be here and show that young people matter.
That's right. Well, and you and Senator Pugh didn't start this that long ago. I mean, this is a relatively new thing, and so to get the word out that quickly.
Yeah, we started this, and we can't take all of the credit per se because it was conversations with colleagues like Senator McCortney and others that it just, the tone of politics in the building was something that many of us were very frustrated with. And while we disagree on a number of different political things, we're okay with that, but we wanted to show kids that you could disagree on things that matter and still get things done.
Right.
So still have relationships with people.
Yeah, I think you're 100% on point there. One of the students I was just talking to, I said, "What was your main kind of takeaway, first thought?" And she said she was struck by how civil the conversation was, like how refreshing it was to have two people that really think differently about most everything, stand, be polite, be respectful, say something that they appreciate about each other, stay within their time limits, really not make it personal, make it about what their competing visions are for the state, and do that in a way that was respectful both in tone and demeanor.
And I think, to me, both of the things that we just talked about, it's kind of behold the power of social media. Because it's social media that drove the students to be here tonight. I mean, that's what I use to get it out in my district. But it is also social media that has a generation, I think, that is growing up in a world where they don't see people actually discuss things in a civil manner. They've grown up in a world where it's Twitter wars and Facebook comments, and so it's really interesting to see the power, kind of the good and the bad of social media and what it's done here tonight.
Oh, 100%.
I was surprised talking to kids here in the reception afterwards and listening, just asking the question, what did you think about the debate? And many of them said, I learned a lot. And I was like, well, you didn't know these things already coming in there? Well, you see TV commercials and you can look at a campaign site, but to hear them talk and give their opinion on stuff, it means that kids are engaging. But the reason they could engage is because it wasn't about all of the battle.
Right.
It wasn't bloody and brutal and, bomb throwing in here. It was two people that want to be the leader of the state that brought their vision to share with a bunch of 18-year-olds.
Sure.
And that's powerful.
I'll tell you one thing that is I'm encouraged by, and is also like, oh, so close. Talked to a number of kids that are here tonight that are kids, I say, for high school seniors, which shows my ever-increasing age. But there's a lot of 17-year-olds here tonight. It's like, so I've talked to several folks that like, no, I can't vote yet. I can't vote in this election, but it's still that important. So I'm here so I can talk to my friends who can vote and help inform them and help educate them and tell them why this is so important.
I talked to, as soon as it was over, talked to a group from Bing High School, which is in my district. There are 3 of them, and I said, hey, did you make up your mind tonight on who you're going to vote for? And 2 of them are emphatically yes, and both of them are 17, so they're not actually going to get to vote.
Right.
The one that thinks she knows but wasn't 100% sure, she's actually the 18-year-old. But yeah, I was 17 when I graduated high school, so I could not have voted in this election if I was in high school.
Right.
The fact that a bunch of 17-year-olds came anyway, again, I think says a lot about how hungry they are for knowledge and just to be a part of something.
One of the things that we wanted to do with From Now On was engage young voters. So a statistic that we know in Oklahoma is the voting demographic of 18 to 24-year-olds votes less than 12%. Well,
Jeez.
Voting is a socialized behavior. So if you don't start voting when you're young, it's unlikely that you'll start voting when you're older. And so From Now On wants to engage young people to just vote.
Yeah.
To get out, register, and start that process early. I've taken my kids to vote since they were born. They're probably tired of going to vote with me, but I can promise you when both of my kids turn 18, they'll know that it's voting time because they've been socialized around this. But many of these kids haven't. And if we're going to change accountability in government, it has to happen because Oklahomans go to the polls and they participate in the process. I have long thought that you want the most accountable government. It's not what one person will do from the top down.
Sure.
It's what everyone will do from the bottom up when they go vote at the polls. I mean, if 60-70% of our population voted, we'd have a really accountable government.
Right. Right.
If they didn't do what they said, they would be voted on next time.
Right. No, I think you're 100% right. One thing that, and I don't have any idea what the metric is that would change this. I think one thing that's frustrating for people, and you guys both know this, people say they don't vote because they think their vote doesn't matter. What do you guys say to folks like the seniors that are here tonight to say, yes, you're one vote out of, 1 million or 500,000 or however many votes are cast in this election, but what do you say to let them know that your voice does matter, that one vote does count?
For me, it's really easy. Again, coming from where I come from, not very many years ago at all, one of the House races was decided by one vote. And so I'm able to say, hey, Todd Thompson, he's your representative, with one vote. He actually lost on election night, recount, he won. I mean, that's how close it was. So one vote does matter. And the other thing, what I encourage my kids who are younger, they're not old enough to vote yet, is it's about making your voice heard. It's about just, if you don't vote, how do you expect to get the government, to get the country, to get the state, to get the nation that you want? So, to me, it's just, whether it's a one vote race or not, you've got to go out and do your job.
It seemed like at the end of session last year, and Senator, you were there. It seemed like there were some camps that said like this should really be, the revenue package that passed should be the first step, and there were camps that said like the revenue package that passed, like this is kind of, this is what we needed, and we'll take another look later. I'm curious to see if that debate, from the tenor of the debate here tonight, and from what we see on social media, talking to teachers, I think that debate is going to continue moving into session in the spring. You think?
Oh, I definitely think we're going to continue to talk about education. I think it's interesting talking to teachers again in my district that when they were coming to the Capitol, they kept saying it's not about teachers, it's not about teachers. Hey, we need money in the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
So now basically what they tell me is, hey, we appreciate you doing what you did, but you really fixed the wrong problem. And so we've got to fix this funding problem of getting money in the classroom, textbooks, enough teachers, not just teacher pay, but enough teachers in the right classrooms. And there's some fundamental shift that has to happen. And yeah, that's absolutely what we're going to talk about next year.
Sure. You know, I found it interesting tonight just because it's high school students. I thought there'd be more than one marijuana question. We only had one. We only had one marijuana question tonight. Yeah, for those of you listening, high school students smoke marijuana. That's the pediatrician telling you they do. You are are you the chair? Is that your title of the joint working group?
I'm the co-chair. I'm the Senate chair of the joint working group on marijuana. And I thought it was fascinating. Yeah, there's only one question about marijuana, and that question was, how do we keep people who don't have a license from smoking it?
Yeah.
And again, I have kids. They're not seniors in high school yet, but I have kids in the school system who tell me that that's not the question that they're asking at their school.
All right, well, I think that will wrap us up. Senator McCortney, Representative Dunnington, we really appreciate y'all's time. Representative Dunnington, thank you, and you, Senator Pugh, for putting this together, organizing the debate tonight.
Thanks for having us. It was awesome, and thanks to Let's Fix This for coming out and Facebook Live in the event. And as always, I see you've brought voter registration forms. And
that's right.
You guys' whole mission is just to get people registered to vote.
That's what we do. We believe, I think like you guys do, the more people that vote, the better off we all are. So, thanks, guys.
That brings us to the end of this episode. Remember, you can connect with us on Twitter and Instagram at Let's Fix This OK. Scott is at SC Melson, and Andy is at AndyOKC. You can also like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Let's Fix This OK. Our website is letsfixthisok.org, and there you can sign up for our newsletter, read our blog, find resources and details about upcoming events. Our podcast is edited and produced by Scott and me, and Let's Fix This is a member of the Mostly Harmless Media Network. Our theme music is generously provided by the Sugar Free All-Stars. Let's Fix This is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization who strives to educate and equip all Oklahomans to engage with their government. We encourage you to get involved in any way that you can, and remember, decisions are made by those who show up.